Alright, so welcome everybody to the semifinals of the Drunken Forest, the 4v4 Black Forest tournament, where each team captain has drafted a team for himself. We're going to have the second semifinals over here, Team Modri, with freaking Andy, a very good deathmatch player, Glocken and Imperio. And other side, we're going to have Rooster, Uzi, Shed, and DauT. We'll have a Mongols, Vietnamese, Berbers, Lithuanians lineup versus Tatars, Koreans, Celts, and Italians. And with that, we will be able to jump into the game and we'll give me a moment to get the scoreboard up and running, and we should be good to go unless there is someone dropping. And I think, okay, it's actually going on. Perfect. So we are going to have DauT's team on the right side of the map. We will have Shed. He's the tier 3 player of this team, a huge steal in the draft, I would say. The Vietnamese flank in blue. Other flank is going to be Uzi, who is the tier 2 player of this team. As a Berber's flank, we do have villagers being pulled already from Glocken as well. Glocken wants to wall this one off, 2 villagers from both sides. And it looks like Glocken now is going to bring in the villagers with Loom. This is usually the way that Black Forest starts, and it looks like Glocken is going to be the one that bails out on this one, or at least momentarily, and then comes back over here. He's trying to just bait the villagers to separate, and then try to fight that one. There is going to be villager fights coming up in the other side as well, but it looks like at the end of the day, this is just going to be gated off, and it's going to be 2 scouts. A little bit more forward walls over here from Shed other side. We do have the villager fights, another scout coming in here for both sides to help out. The scout goes down from Glocken, which is not necessarily ideal. The scout is still alive for Uzi, which is a huge thing over here. Keeping the scout alive is going to be enormous because it can help you push in the deer. And it looks like this scout is also going to have to bail out on this attempt right now. The villager here is freaking out, apparently, and Glocken still seems to be winning this fight over here. And he's going to be the one walling this one off. Other side has been walled off by both players. We do have 2 more crossings in the middle that are uncontested for the time being. And it looks like we're going to have wall off from the players over here. I think this is a win for Glocken. So anyways, as we have Shed trying to block the scout of freaking Andy. As I mentioned in the intro, each team has 1 player from each tier. The higher your tier is, the more skilled player you are generally. So DauT and Modri are the team captains, are the tier 1 players. Uzi and Glocken are tier 2 players. Shed and freaking Andy are the tier 3 players, and Rooster and Imperio are the tier 4 players. We'll have Modri walling this one off. And what I wanted to mention is that I really like the layout of DauT's team over here. So you have tier 2 and tier 3 on your flanks. You have DauT, the best player on the team, as a pocket, but you also have your weakest player in the pocket. So he's the one who doesn't have to... he's the one who doesn't have to... Oh, that was a double lure, right? That's 3 boards in. I think that was a double lure from Modri. So... it looks like we're gonna have Glocken pushing in here with the villagers, securing even the gold in the middle, and we are going to have wall-offs here. I'm somewhat surprised that DauT's team is not actually prioritizing walling this one off over here as well, but that's going to be a very easy wall-off for Glocken. I think the reason why this is dangerous for DauT's team is because sneaky villagers could have gotten through. But I think based on the walling positions, that's a huge win for Glocken's team. Maybe the only thing I could have said is that they could have actually attempted walling this one off over here so that they actually take away some boards from the opponent as well. So anyways, what I wanted to mention is that having your tier 4 player in the pocket means that your weakest player is not going to be directly exposed to aggression, and he is going to have a little bit easier game, I would say. Plus, having Lithuanians for him is also helpful because you're going to have some strong knights once you pick up some relics. You should have no trouble picking up 3 relics over here if you are Rooster, and this 4th one could be accessed as well, with a little bit of onagers over there. So the thing is that I feel like I really like this 1+4 in the pocket, 2+3 on the outside. Other side, Glocken's team, we're going to have a different setup. the first and second tier players will be playing flanks, so the two strongest will be the ones taking the pressure, and the pocket sieves will be Imperial, who's the tier 4 player, and Freakin' Andy, who is the tier 3 player. It's somewhat understandable that Freakin' Andy is the one playing pocket though here. Like, I could justify the tier 3 player playing pocket here, because he is, as we're going to have a mill. I love this from Rooster. Something that a lot of teams didn't do in the previous rounds is mill all these boards. Come on, just mill it. It would be even more ideal if DauT was the one that is milling that, but DauT is going to be milling this one. It's 3 boards for him, and I feel like it's actually pretty good for green that he's getting the extra boards. And the reason why is because, once again, he's the weakest player. And one of the ways that you can actually, boost the weakest player is by giving him an awful lot of resources, for example, and that's exactly what they want to achieve here. His scout is also over here. Oh, Glocken! Glocken is going to wall that scout in. Glocken is gonna wall that scout in, or not. This Vulture can take this fight because she has Loom, but there was an attempt made. So Freakin' Andy is a deathmatch slash Michi player. In fact, he's very, very good on Michi, which justifies him being in the pocket. With Kelt, that's gonna be probably Halberdier, Siege Onager. But Hearts is gonna be interesting to take a look at. It could be Kashix, honestly, because from the pocket you have time to get to multiple castles, and Kashix are dirt cheap, so that would be completely justifiable. Worth noting that somehow Modri got up here and got some walls up. I have no idea how is this possible, but I think there is a hole here. Yeah, there is definitely a hole. And Modri apparently noticed that there was a hole on Shad's walls, and he was just able to break, or he didn't even have to break through. That's actually a hole that Shad has left. And now there is some gates over here that are preventing the movement of Shad. This is actually a disaster because this is adding a extra layer of walls that Shad has to get through with his, what appears to be a Man-at-Arms opening. We are going to have everything walled off now. DauT is going to have his hunt safe. And we have pings as well from Freakin' Andy. So I would think that they are also going to mill this. Modri sneak left corner? No. I don't see any sneaks. This is just a wolf. Modri's got 0 Vultures out here. He's got a wall, but that's basically it. These are walls. This is his base. There is no sneak over here. So anyways, one thing we didn't talk about is that we have 3 pawns for DauT's team. 2 of those will be in the use for the pocket, and it looks like we're gonna have Man-at-Arms towers from Shady Boy. Probably Man-at-Arms towers into Rattan Archers as well. You could also check his Fog of War. I could, but Fog of War is unstable right now in the game, and they may have fixed it, but I am not 100% confident switching it to Fog of Wars as long as I don't have 100% confirmation that it's not going to cause technical difficulties. As I said, casting, for many reasons, it was actually very, very wacky after the previous patch, so we're going to have a single border over here. So it's fine for now. I think this villager also wanted to lure a board, but with this scout being nearby, they just bailed out on that opportunity. And Glocken with Koreans is going on stone, so this is gonna be straight War Wagon. And oh, that was beautiful from Rooster. That was actually beautiful from him. He just blocked that board, and this is disrupting Glocken so much. I love the play here from Rooster. Because, as I said, he's technically the weakest player of his team, but these moments are actually pretty important. The fact that he was able to disrupt that border, obviously it's not going to do a lot in the long run, but these little things can be important, and so can the fact that the pulse side walls are no longer as strong as they used to be, and that means that the Man-at-Arms, especially with tower support, could actually get through this one. Modri is pulling 7 Vultures to make this tower, only 4 from Shed, so if all goes well for Modri, he's gonna be able to get that tower up. I love that Modri is removing the weak Vultures from the tower, so that a single wall isn't gonna be able to kill the Vultures over here. And this should be a fight that Modri is gonna win, I believe. Right now, Shed is just targeting the scout over here. Modri is patrolling this scout perpendicular to the axis of the arrows flying, and that is because if the tower targets that scout, it's going to miss the majority of the arrows. So that was actually intentional from Modri. Very nice defense over here with the stone walls, and that would prevent the Man-at-Arms from getting through. And that is basically the end of Shed's push here. This is not gonna happen. He's also microing his men-at-arms left and right. But at this point, although the tower is targeting the men-at-arms, so Modri's villagers will unpop in a moment, whereas Shed's villagers won't. Modri going in for the repairs. I don't think there is enough firepower to kill these villagers in here, though. Nice micro from Modri so far. And now Shed is gonna have to unpop his villagers in a matter of seconds. Indeed, here it comes. Repairs are coming in. That's the only place in the map where there's actual fighting going on. But the thing is that Modri can always pull more villagers, and he's on the way towards Castle Age here. Loses the man-at-arms from a single volley of arrows. That was an interesting moment over there. Yes, we have Castle Age coming in here for 3 players out of the 4 on Shed's team. Shed is the only one who's not going up, and he's going to be very, very far away from going up over here. Other side, we'll have everybody going up to Castle Age over here. 2 players have already reached Castle, the 2 pockets. The 2 flanks are just going up right now. So, let's see if Shed can actually finish that scout off, because I think that would be some value over there. Especially like being able to deny information. Very nice micro from Modri, by the way. So, he didn't lose a single villager now. As I said, they're trying to target that scout over there, but it's so hard to hit. It's just so hard to hit that. How are the fishing ecos doing? We have DauT with 8. Rooster's got 4. Other side has no pawns. That's something I'm just noticing. Modri's team is not having any pawns, and I assume that the 15 villagers lead that they're having mostly comes from the fact that they have 0 pawns, so obviously the opponent is going to have a lot more eco, because the fishing ships counts as eco as well. That's a little bit unfortunate for Modri's team overall, I would say, and as I said, he can always pull more villagers, so this is not a tower that's going to go down, especially with the siege workshop coming in here. This is a feudal age tower only from Shed. I think Shed sees the siege workshop, so he's going to know that, okay, this push is over. And that's basically it at the end of the day. Anyways, we're going to have 4 TCs for Imperial, 4 TCs as well for Freaking Andy. Remember that Tatar's sheep bonus have been nerfed in the aspect of you're not getting it when you're reaching Feudal, but you're still getting the extra sheep when you're building new TCs in Castle. And that means that you will still have a reasonable amount of food income over here. And the fact that there is already a villager on stone, and I assume that there is going to be more, probably means that we are indeed going to see Keshik. Double layer stone walls over here. Not a strong wall from Uzi though. Just a couple of houses and blacksmith. I think there is even a hole over here if you destroy this palisade. So this is not a super strong wall. He's patrolling his scout right now to see if his opponent is gonna bring in anything over here. I like that Glocken is bringing in those faraway boars. One by one, but he took all of them in, which is a huge thing. Rooster going for 4 TC boom as well. Missing, I think, a couple of wood to actually use those fishing ship over there. So, anyways, now he's gonna drop the fishing ships over here. Won't DauT play Viper this day? Yes, DauT versus Viper, the arena tournament finals, will be played after this series. It was scheduled that way. So, don't worry, DauT is not gonna have to leave mid-series. It's only a blast of 3, so there is probably going to be no time with conflicts. Or no problem with conflicts. Anyways, that's gonna be 5 TCs from DauT over here, booming with Mongols. 4 from Rooster. Shed is still on 1 TC, but he's just going up to Castle Age. And we're going to have 3 from Uzi. Other side, we have 4 from everybody except Modri. Modri is gonna go for TC number 3. And look at this. There's already a siege workshop from freaking Andy. I like that. The reason why I like this is because you want to be able to start pushing immediately when you reach Imperial with Hub and Siege. Obviously, freaking Andy is going to wait at least 20 more villagers, but that's not an awful lot of time. So I like that his Siege Workshop, the building that he's going to use to age up, is already coming in here. And you can tell that Shed knows that there is going to be Siege push. I would say that you're not going to open with Siege Rams here, because getting through this one is actually going to take forever. As we have, it's not Fat Slob, it's Shed Slob here, playing with, I don't know how many layers are those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 layers-ish. But, funnily enough, as I said, freaking Andy is gonna open onagers, and all he needs to do is just onager cut this little thing over here. It's 3 tiles of wood. You can even trap cut this. Like, there's so many places where you can onager cut this. In fact, this is something that Shed should be preparing for. Because these are so thin layers, it's not even a lot of effort to cut through. You could cut through over here as well, it's not like it's impossible. But onager cut over here is just so obvious, and you can see that freaking Andy is already coming out with a second Siege Workshop over here. And remember that they're playing Black Forest and all explored. So everybody knows on this map that this is actually this thin. And the other thing is that when you're talking about Mongols, the real danger of Mongols' pocket is that Mongols take a lot of time to get their army together. You need to get a lot of upgrades, you need to have a strong eco behind that one. So at the end of the day, the thing is that the flanks are really exposed to early aggression when the pocket is Mongols. So that's something that they will have to keep in mind. That's not a Fort TC, that's a university for Uzi, which means that he wants to imp. Let's take a look at the resources about that. Yes, indeed. Uzi wants to imp, so does DauT. Imperial Age is coming in already for freaking Andy, and we are seeing the barracks already coming out. So he's gonna tech into Halberdier. Basically, by the time he reaches Imperial, he's gonna have all the upgrades for those. What else do we have? I love this move as well. You're already setting up your markets over here. I think that's the first market. No, that's the second market already for Imperial. But I love that they are setting this up early. Because investing even just to a couple of trade cards at the beginning is nice, and it's gonna have its effect. I'm not sure if I like this castle from DauT, that's the thing. He's gonna have some rams, so DauT wants to break through the middle over here, but this castle could potentially be exposed to traps coming from this direction, and you don't want to lose your castles when you're Mongols, because you need them to produce Manganai. So this is a dangerous castle for DauT. It's gonna control this choke point. However, as I said, it could be very dangerous in the aspect of actually losing it. DauT is gonna go for his own onagers, I believe, trying to cut on this side. The question is what Uzi is gonna go for. There is a barracks coming in just yet, but that's just because he needs that for buildings. And indeed, Modri is already dropping an outpost here. He wants to know if they can actually go through. And that's probably Mangonels inside, indeed. 40 seconds away from Imperial is freaking Andy. But I think he's still missing the Halberdier upgrade, so this could have been a little bit more optimized, if you ask me. So he probably wants the onager upgrade first. That is why he's stacking resources and not getting the upgrades. What else do we have? Castles are up, and here come the Keshik. Keshik tain relatively fast, even though I think that was nerfed some patches ago. But they are still extremely cheap, and even though they're not super heavy cavalry, I feel like it's about the cost-efficient heavy cavalry type of a scenario over here. So they're really cheap. They also generate some gold when fighting, which could be a useful thing in the long run. And now Shed realizes, oh shoot, this was triggered by the fact that freaking Andy is Imperial, and they know exactly what's gonna happen when freaking Andy is an imp. So he's gonna stonewall this one. The problem is that I am not 100% sure that that wall is gonna go up, because there is onager already. Pikemen just coming in here, and the cut is almost gonna happen, and even if they prevent the cut over here, this is going to be a single layer stone wall, so it's not impossible to get through that with a couple of rams. There is going to be a Cavalier play from Uzi, so Uzi's gonna play Cavalier, and it's gonna be supplemented by DauT's rams, surprisingly. So DauT is not gonna onager cut. DauT wants to go rams on multiple front lines over here, getting some barracks out as well. Rooster is just getting the stables up, and as I said, that's the main problem, that if you fall behind in military numbers at the beginning, you might have an insurmountable deficit. As Shed, trying to wall this one up, buys himself some time, but this is the problem. The first to cut usually has the upper hand in terms of opening up a front line, and this leaves Shed, a player that is in Castle Age, completely exposed to onagers, halberdiers. At least he bought himself some time, but it's not an awful lot. DauT is gonna go drill for himself, and he's gonna open up the middle though, and that's gonna be interesting to look at. Look at how Glocken is walling. He's afraid of onager cuts, but DauT is not gonna onager cut. DauT is gonna go drill and siege ram. Obviously, there is going to be an awful lot of walls behind this one for Glocken, but the real question is what's gonna happen on this side. Shed coming in here with the castle. If this castle goes up, that buys himself some time against the onagers. And now DauT is bringing in the Mangodai. Mangodai is still missing some upgrades, notably the elite. Onagers could massacre those villagers. That castle isn't going up just yet. Oh boy. DauT's team could actually have a DauT castle in this one, and as I said, it takes an awful lot of time to tech into Mangodai. That's the main problem. Ah, Team DauT. Now you see why Shed was drafted into Team DauT over here. Oh, feels bad. He's 80 villagers trying to get that cast up. Knights arrive over here from Rooster. Rooster has 2 relics inside, and here come the Keshiks. Keshiks, by the way, have 7 pierce armor, so they're actually... This is what I was referencing to. Units appearing and disappearing. But that's the other problem. Genoese crossbows. Genoese crossbows will be extremely good against knights. They will be very, very good against Mengadai as well. And now you have Keshiks running around, generating gold all across the field. DauT's push in the middle. All Drunken needs to do is exactly what he's doing. Onagers and just layer after layer of walls. DauT is also trying to push through the other side, as we have Paladin coming in here. But Keshiks already running through. What are those ninja Keshiks? It's not ninja Keshiks, it's actually attack animation missing from Capture Age. We're gonna have a defensive castle here for Rooster, and you have to believe me that there is actually Keshiks over here, blazed on the bloodstains, but I feel like the Cavalier will clean this one up. Once there is more units disappearing, we can actually restart Capture Age. I just don't want to interrupt the game flow with that very, very frequently. But yeah, this is the problem that Shed is facing. I think that castle is missing as well. Okay, this is a great moment to restart Capture Age, so give me a moment to do that. Luckily, it doesn't take more than 10 seconds. So... yeah, this is a necessary evil that we will have to live with. I don't think that the castle went down. Yes, I think that's just the castle model missing. That's what I'm thinking as well. That if you look into the game, the castle actually went down. So sometimes things are disappearing, but that wasn't the case over here. Okay, let's continue going on with the game while we are having Capture Age relaunching, which is taking its time right now. So... yeah, at least we're not gonna have things disappearing over here, but look at the stream of Keshiks flooding through the map. That's the thing. How many Keshiks is that? It's 61 army for Imperial, and what I was referencing to all the time is that if you fall behind in early military numbers, you are gonna be in trouble. Now, Lithuanian Paladins may still save the day, but Genoese crossbows are actually very good against it, and look at this fight. Keshiks are extremely good at just tanking the arrow fire, tanking the melee attack, especially the arrow fire is what they are crazy in. 7 pierce armor is actually better than what Cavaliers have when it comes to dealing with this, and it's an excellent meat shield in front of your Cavalier, or in front of your Jambos, and look at the Jambos just massacring all those Mengadai. Genoese crossbows receive a bonus damage against any cavalry unit, but that also applies to cavalry archers. So they're very, very good at dealing with Paladins, they're very good at dealing with Mengadai, and this is why you see Italians being a very good early pick here. Huge onager shots coming in here from our purple player, who is freaking Andy, and look at the army numbers. Shed is at 0, Rooster's at 22, Modri is only at 20, but those Genoese crossbows are coming in clutch, and Shed is getting pushed back pretty hard, and on the other side there is nothing. There's absolutely nothing. DauT tried cutting, didn't work out. DauT tried pushing through, didn't work out. Glocken, all he's doing is just sitting behind layers and layers of fortified walls and just waiting until the death and destruction comes to DauT's team from the left side. And that is indeed the case. They're trying to snipe off the onagers, but they do have Furor Celtica on them, so it's going to be pretty hard. And now forward castle for more Genoese crossbow production. The Jambos over here, I'm not sure if they have elite yet. Yeah, they are missing elite, but they would be even more devastating as the Paladins. And those are 14 plus 7 Paladins, but they can barely engage because the Keshiks are actually pretty good at tanking damage, 160 HP. Even like 4 melee armor isn't amazing when it comes to comparing it, but it's all about tanking the damage. So you don't have to be competitive against Paladins, you have to just tank the arrow fire from the Mengadai and be a meat shield, and Keshiks are a very, very cheap meat shield. So something like 60 food, 40 gold or so, and they have 160 HP, perfect supplement to the Genoese crossbows, and this is an ideal unit composition over here. I don't want to jump into early conclusions here, but I feel like this game is over. Because right now Shed is getting absolutely torn apart, and if you look at the left side, it has completely collapsed. DauT trying one move over here though to get through the front line over here with the Ferrari Rams. This is for the game from DauT. DauT is gonna have to save the game here with this Mengadai blob, because even if he does save this one, or at least does take a very, very good engagement. He needs to kill one player at least, because Shed is dead. Shed is at 75 villagers, but his original base is gone. Look at this, just like, I don't know, just birds preying on the dead body. Immediately, right in the moment that Shed was killed, a bunch of villagers come in from Modri to steal that gold, and here's the problem. Mengadai, Camels, Paladins, they all die to Genoese crossbows. What you need against Gembos is onagers, but no one actually has onagers over here, and this is awfully cost efficient for Modri here. He's eating Mengadai with Genoese crossbows, and DauT's push over here, he's gonna be halted by Keshiks. Oh boy. I feel like it's not about not enough Manga, it's about the fact that Mengadai just Mengadai to Genoese crossbows, and even onagers. This is looking very, very GG-like, and this is something that we have seen so many times in Black Forest. The first team that gets into Imperial and gets like a reasonable amount of army out to do the onager cuts with is usually winning the game. And that's exactly what we're seeing over here. Oh, look at those onager hits, by the way. So, honestly, we could continue casting with the actual game and not Capture Age, because it seems like it's actually relatively stable. The reason why I don't like it is because in order for you guys to see the numbers on villager counts and village numbers, I need to use the big number mod, otherwise you can't see it because it's too tiny, especially on mobile screens. But that chops off 2 players from the bottom. So, that's the reason why I don't like casting with the game, but it seems relatively stable, or whatever. Or we could also do something like, okay, as we have Genoese crossbows once again pushing back the Mengadai here. So we could do early game with Capture Age where there is little issues, and it allows us to zoom out, it allows us to look at ecos combined, and then in late game we can switch to the actual game, because the amount of villagers, I feel like, is a little bit less relevant. As we already have Bombard Towers pushing it here, this game is so over. And I want to give a shout out to Drunken, by the way, who is now counterattacking this side as well, with those 10 range onagers from Koreans, that he actually was extremely effective. Look at this wall from Drunken. This was key because DauT wanted to open up a front line towards Drunken, but that never actually materialized. That is because Drunken's defense was great, and now the onagers just melting that castle. This game is so over, guys. I mean, this was Shed's former base. Shed trying to reboom right now, but that's just a distant dream, and we're at a stage where onagers are just melting castles. You don't even bring in the traps anymore. Bombard Tower securing ground. Soon there could be an onager cut over here, and Drunken is even pushing this one. Mengadai from DauT trying to hold this. But look at this. Onagers will actually take some reasonable hits against the Mengadai, and now Keshik's getting a good surround, and I think this from Shed, yeah, Shed is getting absolutely torn apart here. And the Keshiks are coming in so good for Imperial, and I want to give a shout out to him as well. He's technically the weakest player on his team, and his Keshik play here was flawless. He has been playing Pocket very well over here, and that's one of the reasons why their team is so good. By the way, as you see, there is a lot of trade going on for Modri's team. There is basically 0 trade for DauT's team, and now villagers are being deleted for more population space. Yeah, no one actually felt Genoese crossbows were OP before. It's tricky because they're very situational. But on closed maps, in team games like these, Gembos can be extremely lethal. I think the key is that you have to have a lot of meat shield in front of them, and you really have to make sure you don't get onagered. And indeed, there is like an awful lot of Keshiks in the queue. In fact, Imperial is heavily pop-capped. He could easily delete 20 villagers in this scenario. 140 is a bit of an overboom for Keshik. Keshik is so cheap that you don't need 140. You can get away with 120. And yeah, at this point he could just cancel some of them and start slinging someone who actually needs resources. Doesn't really matter. And with that, Team Modri grabs game number 1 over here. Excellent place, and once again opened up by the fact that they could just cut through here very easily. And this is something that we see so many times, that this game, Black Forest, is so much about the choke points. And when one team is able to open up a new front line immediately, that's gonna cause disaster, and that's exactly what we have seen. This opened up, 2 minutes later, Shed was dead because he got overrun by Kashyyyks, Onagers, Halberdiers, Genoese crossbows, and his base was completely leveled. So that's one of the things that I'm always saying when it comes to Mongol Pocket, that I feel like Celtic Pocket with the Halberdier Onager push and something similar from Ethiopian Pocket as well can actually be in Imperial a little bit faster and open up a new front line to help the teammates run inside, whereas the Mongols need an awful lot of time to tech into Mangodai. If they get into Mangodai and they can preserve their numbers, it's great. But it was a combination of multiple things. The Kashyyyk play was extremely good. Honestly, all players from Modri's team played extremely well. So, Imperial's Kashyyyk play was flawless. Modri used the Jambos very, very efficiently. Glocken's defense here was absolutely stellar. And lastly, obviously, Freaking Andy was the one that played a very, very clean boom into Onager cut play that opened up the front line. And indeed, there was just no one from DauT's team that went for Onager, which also contributed to the fact. And they got slaughtered. At some point, the Lithuanian player had 3 relics. A 3-relic Lithuanian player, and they just got absolutely massacred, basically. We can actually take a look at the stats. So, let's see what we have over here. We have 88 buildings raised from freaking Andy. Oh my goodness. Shed had 8 kills, 164 deaths, and 73 buildings lost to the largest army of 4. That actually was in the moment where he was 3 men-at-arms and 1 scout. He got caught completely off guard by this one. Modri, 321 kills, 69 deaths only. Crazy. Crazy, crazy. And this is the deal. 27-21 Imperial from freaking Andy. That was huge. 28-26 from Imperial. And this is what I was referencing. Look at that. Imperial and suddenly a flood of Kashyyyks. Imperial and units here. And if you see how DauT's army is rising, it takes a lot more time for DauT to mass the Mangodai. Overall, Mangodai take a lot of time to mass. And overall, if you consider the fact that both Mangodai, Udzi's cavalry, and Rooster's cavalry get countered by Genoese crossbows, that also contributes to the fact why they lost. They need something against Jambos, and that wasn't there for that game. And with that, we will cross out these civilizations over here. So Mongols are gone for DauT's team. Slavs are not taken. Lithuanians are gone. Berbers and Vietnamese are gone for DauT's team. Other side for Modri's team, we do have Italians gone. It was Koreans, right? So Koreans are gone without a single war wagon being shown on the field. Celts and Tatars are gone. So if you want to play something similar, I feel like Kuman's Ethiopians can do a very, very nice combination of this one as well. It's the same play. Ethiopians can boom into Onager cut. And then Kumans are going to have a great eco. So even though the army is not as cheap as it was for Kashyyyks, but you're going to have a crazy strong eco. So you can get to Cavalier and Paladin very, very soon. Byzantine pocket could also happen for Cataphracts, which could be interesting. The reason why Byzantine pocket for Cataphracts makes sense is because if the opponent is playing Halberdier defense, then Cataphracts will just choose through that. We could see something like Burmese flank potentially, with a Man-at-Arms towers into a run-by play. Other side, Khmer or Slavs pocket is a likely scenario. I would think that Mayans and Malay could happen as flanks. I think you have to pick either Slavs or Khmer as pocket here. I wouldn't even be surprised to see both, to be honest. They don't really have any Onager civs in the pocket, I believe. Spanish flank could be a possibility as well. Britain's flank could be an idea too. Britons are actually very underrated on Black Forest because the longbowmen are able to counter the Onagers of the opponent, and that's something that is heavily underrated, I would say. So being able to deal with Onagers using just your longbows is actually an extremely important thing overall. Are they actually underrated? I mean, it's more about... Okay, true, a lot of people like to play Britons on Black Forest. I'm gonna put it in different context. I think This is more about the fact that for those that aren't that experienced on Black Forest, they wouldn't immediately think that Britons are that amazing as a flank civ for Black Forest, but they actually are. For Warwolf traps, longbows, and so. So, with that, game number 2 will be coming in. It hasn't started yet, but let's hope that in this game we're gonna have a little bit more competitive scenario. I am not sure who DauT's team has beaten in the previous round. We can actually take a look at that real quick. DauT's team actually 2-0'd Rubenstock's team, and I believe that Rubenstock's team was also pretty strong overall. So Rubenstock's team featured Rubenstock, Please Be Gentle, Eric Sandy, Kyler, Empathy, and I Need Money. So Rubenstock's team was a relatively strong team as well. And they got pretty much destroyed by DauT's team. So let's hope the DauT's team is able to make this a little bit more competitive over here. Don't they have Bulgarians? That's true. I don't think about Bulgarians. I would probably think that mainly because I still consider Bulgarians more of the cavalry-based civ. Bulgarians are totally good with their SO and infantry play. Could even be champion SO. Or, well, not champion, but 200 swordsmen from Bulgarians. Or Burgundians, what am I talking about? So, Bulgarians, 200 swordsmen with bagains and SO could be a play from the pocket. We'll see if that actually is going to happen, though. Because they do have Slavs and Khmer as well. I don't think that they will use both of those civs in the same game. But it is easier to just take a look at the actual civs. Modri is going to be playing flanks once again with Japanese. Freaking and the students pocket in this case, which could once again be your SO civ. In a pocket. Glocken is going to be playing flank as well, Imperial in pocketed Persians. Glocken once again with a very, very defensive civ. Previously was Koreans, now he's playing with Byzantines. So the team positions do not change. Actually, no, there is absolutely no change in the team positions. They are going to go with the same lineup. It's on the civs changing. And it's very nice that I have said that there is, no, or at least little chance of Slavs and Khmer. We are seeing Slavs and Khmer. It looks like one of the players, the tier 4 player, was subbed out for DauT's team. So Matt is going to jump in to play as Khmer. The rest of the players are unchanged. DauT is going to be the other pocket with Slavs. Udzi is going to be playing Britons in blue. And we are going to have Mayans for Shed in gray. So the two flanks will be Britons Mayans, and the two pockets will be the ultimate farming civs out there. I would think that Matt is considering a play that is elephant based, or at least this is what he should be thinking about. And DauT could be the Hob siege push here, to be honest. In fact, that's probably what's gonna happen. So DauT is Hob and siege. Matt is gonna play Khmer with elephants. Britons and Mayans, obviously Britons will be probably crossbowed and longbow. Mayans could be interesting for Shed. We'll see what he's up to. I think it's gonna be like castle drop plumed archer type of a play. And other side, Byzantines from Glocken, no idea what he's planning. Might just go defense once again and just lock down one side. That could be one thing, just lock down one side and triple the other. Because that's exactly what happened in the previous game. So once again, we'll attempt using Capture Rate at least early game. Once Capture Rate starts freaking out in late game, we'll probably switch back to the game. We'll also have to adjust the score over here. So Modri's team is having a one-game lead over here. We're going to have DauT's team on the right side playing as Britons and Mayans for Shed and Udzi as the flanks. We're going to have DauT playing as pocket in teal over here. And there is a very, very interesting base layout. We're going to talk about that. There's a lot of crossings in the middle. And this is an awful pocket spot for DauT. Holy smokes, look at this. Two massive openings right next to his base. We are gonna have the other pocket, Matt Eskmer in green. Other side, we're going to have Modri, who is gonna go for the very, very conservative Vos over here. This is an interesting decision because I would think that this is actually gold and stone that belongs to Modri. We do have scouts fights coming up here. For now, Modri tries to wall this one off. There is a snow leopard as well that is gonna get triggered by the villagers probably. So early scout wars over here on this side, and notably the boars will be left out of the party over here. Indeed, there is going to be the snow leopard being triggered as well, which is annoying because you don't want to lose HP on those villagers. In this scenario, some of the boars will be on the side of Modri though, so that's fine for him. And yeah, indeed, Modri has a very, very pocket-like position. If you just look at how he's gonna be able to wall and how far he is from his opponent. Indeed, the thing is that Modri has a more pocket-like layout playing as a flank than DauT. DauT is like wide open here. Obviously can wall this one and wall this one, but I wouldn't call this a safe pocket by any means. Whereas for Modri, he's playing flank, but he's so well defendable. We are gonna have Volofs on the left side. Initial idea from Drunken was over here, but that failed to happen. And I wonder if this Voyager from Drunken is gonna go all the way over here. Like, you could technically wall this one off over here. And that would be extremely annoying for DauT, who is, like, he's technically trying to play pocket, but he's gonna be pretty much walled off right a bit. Alright, so Imperial is gonna bring in his scout here as well. Oh, poor DauT. I feel for DauT over here because this map generation is screwing him over omega big time. Like, this is one of the worst pocket generations I've ever seen. And now the scout is gonna go down, I believe, here from Glocken, depends on the micro. And it looks like they will edge this victory out here. Okay, honestly, I'm a little bit happy about that, even though I should be unbiased as a caster, because I feel like it's pretty unfair for DauT how open his base is as a pocket. So, yeah, this pocket is very nice over here for Matt, but DauT's pocket here is awful. And we will have Glocken playing as Byzantine flank over here. This is a super pocket over here. Also worth noting how good the trade is gonna be for Modri's team. They can trade from this corner to this corner. This is near perfect trade, which is not something that you often see. For Matt's team or DauT's team, they can trade from this corner, but I guess it's gonna go somewhere around over here, so it's not that good. And also worth noting is that depending on how this one is walled off, this is gonna be a very, very thin place where the trade cards can go through, so there could be a lot of bumping. In fact, when DauT is making his buildings, he's gonna have to consider that the trade cards will have to pass this way. Anyways, we'll have Freaking Andy walling this one off, and yeah, this is gonna be very interesting to see how you control these choke points, because, for example, Udzi's base is wide open over here. Look at how open Udzi is. How is he even going to wall this one off? I have no idea. But he's playing wide open, and I don't like this. I don't like how open Udzi is playing. They have an awful map generation here. Like, as I said flat out, one of the worst Black Forest map generations is DauT's teams right now. But, like, the pocket here is also wide open to raiding, and we are seeing Matt going up at 21 villagers. That's gonna be a little bit tight for an FC, isn't it? Yeah, does he have a sneaky villager? I think they want to sneak. Shet has an 8 HP villager over here. I don't like that an 8 HP villager is being sent, but I think they wanted to sneak through. Or at least that was something that they considered momentarily. There is a lot of hunt, like extra hunt on the side of Modri over here as well for Freaking Andy. There is some extra hunt over here that could be taken as well, and Shed is gonna lose a villager. So this is still an opening over here in the middle. This is still an opening, and we're going to have a forward Brax by Udzi with 4 villagers building it. So he wants to go potentially towers. Otherwise, he wouldn't pull 4 villagers. So it's gonna be 4 villagers with the towers, with men-at-arms most likely for him. DauT is gonna be walling this one off over here. I think what DauT has to do is wall this one and wall this one. That would also secure this crossing, which is nice. And then all comes down to udzee being able to control this choke point, which may happen. There is an outpost coming up here from Modri. Modri is not in feudal age, which means that he's not gonna be able to immediately counter tower. This is a huge thing. Modri is gonna have to add multiple layers of walls, and there's going to be forward range from udzee. So one of the ways that you can control this choke point is by actually going for forwards, and that would prevent feudal age aggression from sneaking past. But still, I'm not necessarily a fan of how open DauT's team is, and as I said, it kind of seems like Matt is gonna be forced to play scouts here, based on how open their maps are. So, tower is up, nice defense from Modri over here getting the stone walls in for now, and by the time these guys get through the walls, the stone walls will be up. This is gonna accomplish nothing here for udzee. So, yeah, this push is pretty much over. There is a double lure coming in here from Drunken, something that he has tried doing in a previous game as well. One of the things that Drunken is doing really well, I feel like here, is that he's really using the extra boards on this map. Previous game, he also lured in free. That's a very feels good man type of a mining camp here. Look at that. How beautiful that is. He also milled his hunt, so Drunken is really using all the extra resources that are given to him by the map. So, here's the deal. If your pocket is playing scouts as Matt, that's gonna delay his castle age, probably not considerably. And Matt also went for at least horse color, which is something I like. So, he's gonna go for horse color, which helps quite a bit for his eco, but it's going to delay his castle age a little bit, although not by a massive margin at the end of the day. Remember that he doesn't have to build buildings in feudal, which means that he doesn't have to have that many villagers on wood. And at the end of the day, he might click up at the same time as everybody else from the opposing team, which I think is a huge achievement. Meanwhile, Freakin' Andy bringing in 3 extra boards. I'm not sure where they came from, but Freakin' Andy is gonna have an insane food eco, and that's something, as I said, that is really worth considering when you're looking at these players. That all of the players on Modri's team are bringing in the hunt, and they're using really every bit of advantage they can grab. So at the end of the day, the castle age time isn't going to be that bad for Matt, and he was able to squeeze out a couple of scouts in the process. So this ends up being a relatively reasonable scenario for him. We'll see if he's gonna be able to do 4TC boom or not, but it's Khmer, so his eco is gonna be relatively reasonable. Nice stone walls over here by Modri, and I believe that they will reinforce every front line now that they see that there is archers and scouts coming in. Defensive tower is going to more or less prevent the units from getting through here, although scouts are trying to bash their way through, but Modri is just going to add the tile behind, so that aggression is going to go nowhere for now. DauT is, or it's actually Shed, stonewalling off this side, and he's going to stonewall off this side as well. He's playing FC, but no, actually there's 2 villagers on stone, so I'm tempted to say there is going to be plumed archers eventually. Is this even an FC? I am not so sure. It's Market Blacksmith, so it has to be a plumed archer play. I would think this is sort of an FC over here. May not have been +2, I wasn't paying attention. But, yeah, DauT, or Shed is actually trying to go for plumed archers over here. Anyways, we will have Castle Age coming in here for Imperial. Remember that Persians have a team bonus, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a team bonus that the Knights do +2 damage against Archers, which is a huge thing here. Now, as I said, I think Freakin' Andy is going to play Boom into Onagers and Halberdiers with Teutons, so there is probably not going to be Knights from multiple people, only from Imperial, but Imperial's Paladins are going to be pretty devastating against even plumed archers. It looks like Drunken is going for heavy on stone, which means that he wants to go for a defensive castle, probably because he knows that there is plumed archers coming his way. And this would be an excellent spot for defensive castle because it controls both choke points. So that would be a great spot. Overall, eco-wise, Modri's team is having a 10 villagers lead. Mostly coming from the fact that Modri does have his pond, Freaking Andy does have his pond, and so does Glocken. Whereas on the other side, you have Shed with a pond, DauT has no pond for Matt either, and neither is a pond for Uzi. So I have to say that DauT's team is having a much worse map overall. So, with that, I like that Uzi is milling the deer over here. I think that's, or milling the board, that's completely fine. 40C bomb from Teutons is actually pretty strong, even though the food villager count isn't amazing here for Freaking Andy. It's only 11 on food. So, it looks like he's going to prioritize fish traps first, and then comes the cheap farming from Teutons. He may actually try waiting until he can squeeze in heavy plow before dropping a lot of farms. But it's surprising, okay, now he's gonna start adding farms, but as I said, cheaper farms for Teutons will make your boom extremely strong. Shed buying a lot of food over here, so he's gonna be booming on 3 TCs, even 4. So, everybody but Uzi is going to be playing with the 4 TCs over here. Oh, DauT is only playing 3 now, making the 4th one. Uzi not going up to oh, he's going up to Castle Age, but he's not up yet, as he's gonna be the last player reaching Castle Age. Does Persian bonus stack with the Lithuanian relic bonus? I think yes. I don't see a reason why it wouldn't stack. There could be scenarios when you want this late game. It's just not about, like, you are not going to use Lithuanians, Persians on Black Forest because you want the hub and SO safe. But in a 4v4 open map tournament, let's say Arabia, Lithuanians and Persians combined are absolutely viable. So, yes, you can actually stack it up. So, obviously not on Black Forest, but in 4v4, 2 Paladin civs like Lithuanians, Persians is actually a pretty nice combo. And one of the reasons why in 4v4, one of the best pocket civs is Persians. You have a good eco, but the night attack is going to be a team bonus. So, I would dare to say that in 4v4, Persians is a top 3 pocket civ because of the team bonus. Anyways, overall villager count 15 in the favor of Modri's team, and Castle Age is now in for Uzi. He's going to be able to afford some town centers over here. Yeah, look at this. Uzi, I think Uzi wants to fast imp this. Now that I look at the resources, he is dropping a castle over here. And looking at all the food that he has stacked up, and the fact that he's having a lot of wood as well, a little bit low on gold, but I am more than confident to say that he's trying to fast imp this. Because otherwise he would have dropped multiple TCs by now, especially with Britons, and that's not something that we're seeing from him. So it is likely that he wants to imp this one, now getting handcart, and that would be a completely reasonable scenario because he could actually open up the front line with some trebs, and that would help a player like potentially DauT, bringing in... Well, DauT isn't far away from Imperial, but he can cut for himself, so it could make sense to have some early elephants from Matt over here. Anyways, as you see on the ping, Freaking Andy notices that there is going to be castle and siege workshop, and there is the longbowman play. Fletching is missing though, and it seems like Uzi isn't actually going to fast in this one. He would have had the resources for it, but it seems like he just wants a castle over there to control that choke point, get some longbows out, and like pretty much use those longbows to snipe down onagers that could be trying to cut over here and protect this choke point, and now he's gonna go for 3 TCs. But their team are behind by 30 villagers, which is something worth noting. 4 TCs from Glocken, 4 from Imperial, 4 from Freaking Andy, and only 3 from Modri. 4 for Shed, we got 5 for DauT, 4 for Matt, who is going into Imperial as the first player, which could be a huge thing here. Imperial is coming in as well for Imperial. And lastly, Uzi, his food count is still satisfactory for imping, but he's gonna be using that to make villagers for now because he only has 11 on food. And we already have the stables here, so the plan is that they will open up this side. Longbows should have no trouble picking off that mangonel. It's not like you need that archer range though with Britons, right? You don't have Thumb Ring on it, so you don't really need that archer range, to be honest. But yeah, longbows will pick off those mangonels, that's not gonna be an issue at all. Anyways, what is DauT up to? DauT is picking up relics over here with Slavs, he's going up to Imperial as well. Getting a siege workshop out, getting a castle up. I guess he wants early Drużyna for his infantry, which could also be pretty reasonable. And it's worth noting that these mangonels are actually disrupting the food income from all this hunt. Like, Uldzi is unable to access this because the mangonels are harassing him on that side. 4 villagers coming in here from Imperial, which means that he wants to drop a siege workshop somewhere around over here, or siege workshop stables, obviously. And freaking Andy already attacking into Halberdier, as you would expect. He's on the way to Imperial as well. So 2 players in Imp from Modri's team. Actually, there's going to be 2 players as well from DauT's team in Imperial. Uldzi is still far, and the shed isn't that far away. We do have Glocken still not clicking up. That's interesting. Like, Glocken hasn't clicked up, and he even has the cheaper Imperial Age with Byzantines. So he's gonna go for full boom. He could actually supplement this push with Rams or Bombard Cannons. And here come the stables, so Cavalier, Bloodlines is coming in. I think these stables are a little bit late for Imperial, if I wanted to criticize something. Because you ideally want to have Husbandry and Bloodlines by the time you reach Imperial. So that you can start flooding out Cavalier immediately and focus on the Imp upgrades. Anyways, Modri is trying to be a little bit annoying over here with the mangonels. I think that Uldzi just doesn't want to show the longbows right now. That's why he's not popping them out. He doesn't need them right away. We'll have Shed going up to Imperial as well, so Uldzi is going to be the only player who isn't up yet, but he's not super far away over here. These are some very, very inefficient farms indeed for Glocken, not something that you really like. A mill here would actually be something that you could justify. So Imperial, as you see, this is the problem. He's up to Imperial for 2 minutes now, but there's not a single Cavalier on the field because he has to focus on the upgrades. Onager and Halberdier is already in, and it looks like the Onager cut is going to happen on this side, but remember what I said, longbows are actually legitimate at dealing with that one. DauT getting multiple castles, and that's not gonna be hub and siege. Something we didn't talk about, like Slavs would be one of the best hub and siege civs, but DauT is playing Boyars. DauT is playing Boyars. They will have a contingency wall over here in case the opponent breaks through here. And we're going to have a lot of elephants coming in here from Matt as well. Getting plate boarding, elite battle elephant. I'm not sure if he has a castle, and the answer is no. So Tusk Swords isn't going to come in anytime soon. Multiple castles from Shed as well, coming in with the plumed archers as you would expect. And we are going to have Imperial from everybody now. Overall ecos though, 40 villagers lead for Modri's team. I think the weak link here is actually Uldzi. He is only on 3 TCs. And it looks like they've already broken through. They've already broken through these walls over here. And as good as Boyars are, I'm not sure if Boyars are actually beating Halberdiers. That's my problem here. That Halberdiers may still be a more cost-efficient way of dealing with... Okay, now we have units disappearing. So I guess this is the moment where we are switching into the actual game to cast with it. Because as you see from Capture Age, the longbow firing animation is actually missing. So yeah, now units are disappearing, so goodbye Capture Age, it was nice having you in early game, and we are going into the actual game over here. So, let's see what we got over here. Boyars are coming, and DauT is now cutting in there, and Plumes will be supporting this one, and what Boyars can do really well is just, you know, disrupt the eco. I think that's the plan. They might be running into the eco of the pocket player, Freaky Andy over here, and that would be devastating. There is multiple defensive castles over here, but I wonder if that Onager cut is going to accomplish a lot, and it could. Elephants also pushing in here, and longbows will be an excellent support unit to deal with the Halberdiers for that. Multiple castles for Uldzi now going for mass longbows, who is almost up to Imperial. This is looking very good for DauT's team, because the Paladins will have to defend here, but Paladins will be absolutely clapped by Boyars. Boyars have 9 melee armor over here, as we have Halberdiers, apparently from Glocken. Glocken once again stonewalling the entire portion of his base, because DauT tried to Onager cut over here, that failed at the end of the day, but now Boyars running into the eco of freaking Andy over here, and In the previous game, DauT's team was never able to damage the eco of the opponent. Now they will be able to, and they already start roaming into the eco, and once again, game score doesn't show the reason why. Actually, we can squeeze in game score here. Capture Age didn't crash, but Capture Age isn't showing some units. Like in late game, Capture Age has some bugs in 4v4. In fact, it's not even supposed to be casting 4v4 in Capture Age because it is unstable for it. Like units disappearing and whatsoever. So we're switching back to the original game. And guess what? What Japanese can do against Boyars is Samurai. And Samurai will eat Boyars. That's totally true. Because of all the bonus damage that they're receiving. I need to edit my sensitivity a little bit over here. Give me a moment. I just need to lower my sensitivity here because it's a little bit too fast. Okay, much better. So, obviously longbows and plumed archers will still be able to deal with the samurai. Left side is going to be completely peaceful as we already have trade being set up by both teams. But look at this elephant push, and this is why Khmer is insane, especially when you're supported by longbows. The key is that you want to keep your longbows alive, but they will be also excellent at dealing with onagers, and Samurai will also get eaten. And this is the thing, if you can isolate Modri from the rest of the team, you can cut off the reinforcements of Samurai. And if you cut off the Samurai, the Boyars will have an easy work in the middle. Halberdiers may still work out reasonably well against them, but Plumed Archer Boyar is gonna beat Halberdier and Paladin any day. In this one, DauT's team, not ready to quit on this one just yet. I could see some more onager cuts being completely viable for DauT's team, to be honest, so that they open up a little bit more space for them to push through. Like, they could just delete these walls over here. And so, there is another castle coming in here for Uzi. And as we have Vorion with the resub, thank you so much. Welcome back for the 16 months of support. That's an awful lot of time. So, Teutonic Paladins beat Boyars? I am not so sure, and the more important, Teuton player doesn't have Paladins. These are Persian Paladins, which do not have anything against Boyars. Now it seems like numbers eventually prevail with the support of Halberdiers, so DauT's push stalls out over here, but it doesn't matter, because now they are actually pushing this side, and if you just run these Boyars into the eco of your opponent, then you're gonna start massacring the wheels of Modri. Modri's at 106 villagers, 130 pop only. Uzi's pop isn't looking great either, but he could get Warwolf traps, and indeed here it comes. Warwolf for Uzi, which means that they will be able to win pretty much every trap war. This is one of those rare scenarios, by the way, where you could see Warwolf versus Karaparuto. This is a dangerous scenario, though, because the Persian Paladins, as we talked about that, they are dealing extra damage against archers, so you don't want your longbow surrounded by Persian Paladins, but it seems like they're desperately trying to snipe down the traps to prevent the castles from falling. Middle is rather peaceful, but DauT is assembling a new horde, as pretty much everybody has to focus from Modri's team on this front line over here. This castle is doing an awful lot of damage, by the way. Bombard towers coming in here from Glocken. Glocken was extremely good with the defense in the previous game. These bombard towers are also coming in sort of clutch for now. Left side is still rather peaceful, it seems. DauT is gonna bring in some more Boyars, as Shed is supporting with plumed archers. Big fight over here, but I feel like once again it's the eco of Modri's team that is getting pushed, and that's a huge thing. That if you look at their trade, there is barely any trade going on. If you look at DauT's team, they have a much better trade. It's not necessarily about being able to kill Modri here. It's more about being able to secure a map position in which you are able to influence the opponent's eco to a certain extent, and that's exactly what we're seeing over here. Some Boyars running past, the defense is over here, which could be valuable at killing a couple of villagers from the pocket player. Uzi's at 84 villagers though only, so that's something that we'll have to monitor. Uzi at 91 pop. Uzi's only at 91 pop, and they desperately need longbows over here to come in. It looks like the armor is still missing from these guys, which is pretty important when it comes to, you know, fighting against potentially an awful lot of Paladins. Samurais, is Modri's team counterattacking this? In the third game, it was an even score, 1-1 against Noisik's team for Modri's team, and they were behind, just like this one. But then they turned it around with some nice onager shots, some nice counterattacks, and the more I look at it, the more I'm seeing that it seems like this push from DauT's team is stalling out. It's called the 109 population from Uzi, which is disastrously low. Now, obviously, he's gonna be able to retain his longbow numbers, but one thing is sure, he can't afford to lose those longbows. He needs to get good longbow numbers up, and then he's gonna be able to pile it up, and he's gonna have a very, very nice resource retention overall. But more bombard towers for Glocken, and they're pushing this one back. It's Kataparuto traps against the Warwolf traps, by the way, so that's one of those rare scenarios. And I don't have a number on the exact military counts, but if I just look at the screen, I have a feeling that we have a massive military advantage for Modri's team. DauT now bringing in the Boyars for this fight, but Boyars aren't really going to fare well against overwhelming amounts of Teutonic Halberdiers. These guys even have 5 melee armor on them. Longbows focusing down the onagers very, very nicely. Left side is rather peaceful. One thing that we still have to consider is that DauT's team is actually having a way better gold income, and that's going to show in the long run. So, as long as there is mineable gold for Modri's team, they're fine. But when they run out of mineable gold, which is going to be happening in the upcoming 2 or 3 minutes, as you have an overwhelming amount of paladins, you can't lose the archers to the paladins here. That's for sure. Oh yeah, there is no scoreboard. Give me a moment and I actually get that up over there for you. So, like that. So now there is a scoreboard. I forgot about that because we were casting with Capture Rage. So, as I said, the plumed archers and the longbows combined is gonna have a pretty nice resource retention rate, and more importantly, as I said, the efficient trade is what really is gonna start kicking in, especially once the gold starts to run out for Modri's team. Left side is still super peaceful. DauT is gonna assemble another potential onager cut over here. There's actually an opening, I think, on those walls, so Boyars could once again run in. And one thing that we need now for Udzi is traps. He's getting his population up. I think if Udzi is able to retain his longbows, he's gonna be fine. And they're pushing with keeps now. It would be ideal if they could bring in bombard towers, but who can bring in bombard towers from DauT's team? Not the Britons, not the Mayans, not the Khmer. Khmer don't have bombard towers either, right? So there is no bombard towers for their team at all, whereas these bombard towers will be pretty annoying from Glocken. The thing, however, is that bombard towers is going to cost you stone. Once you run out of mineable stone, you have to buy it, but because you're going to be low on gold, buying stone is going to be troublesome. So when these bombard towers go down, Glocken isn't going to be able to easily replenish them. So that is going to be something to consider. If I look at Glocken right now, he's at 300 stone only. So if you look at Udzi, he has an insane amount of stone in the bank. And as I said, the really different thing is that Udzi, for example, has 40 villagers or 40 trade cards. 50 for Matt over here. Shet has 71 on gold. I think some of that is still gold miners. But other side, 27 on gold for freaking Andy. 35 on gold for Glocken. 38 for Modri, but as I said, some of these are actually villagers. And look at this. This is the problem that they're going to be facing. The trade is going to be much, much more efficient for DauT's team. That being said, many elephants lost their lives in this engagement over here. Longbows, however, still being an extremely cost-efficient way to deal with these units. Blooms and longbows coming in pretty strong over here, and now DauT is cutting. The reason why they started losing this fight is because DauT was removing his boyars from the right side and sending it right in here. Imperial is the main target, I would say, because his paladins are extremely devastating against the archers, and that's exactly what you want to avoid. Onagers now will have little effect on the battlefield because the longbows and the tower should be able to pick them apart from a long distance unless you miss micro your longbows. That was awful for Udzi. These are things that aren't supposed to happen at all. Oh my goodness! No way, Udzi! This could lose the game for them. This could lose the game for them. Holy smokes, that was like 40 longbows going down from 2 onager shots. And that's exactly what is never supposed to happen. Onagers have 9 range, longbows have 12. You are never supposed to be losing that many longbows to an onager shot. Freaking Andy is going to pause this one, but now they are heavily reliant on DauT saving the day with this raid. Like, DauT actually has to save the day now. He is going to do a lot of damage to the trade here. I feel like he could have done a little bit more if he actually hits the villagers of Imperial, but Uzi is back to 25 longbows, and as I said, when you are playing Britons, you have to retain that army. That's the key thing here. And also, Uzi is very, very low on eco. Like, he's just starting to get his trade up, which means that replacing those longbowmen will also be rather difficult for him. Uzi also only 2 on food, so he's not gonna add any more villagers. He probably doesn't even need to. And yeah, thanks for that clip. That's actually very fun. I'm like, onagers will have little effect on the battlefield because of the towers and longbows, and then onagers get some big shots out. Longbows are supposed to be the unit that deals with the onagers here. Plumes also eating an enormous shot. And onagers might be saving the day here for Modri's team. Score keeps flipping and flipping, but many, many great onager hits now. And the plumed archer numbers are dropping, the longbow numbers are dropping, and if you lose the archer numbers, the halberdiers will overrun the little elephants that Matt is having. Uzi has apparently 3 castles for the longbows. I could see him, honestly, with this population, I could see him adding ranges for Arbs. Because the thing is that he could massively use numbers here, and Arbs won't be as good as longbows here, but they will still be something that's gonna be able to, you know, just put a beef on the battlefield, something that puts out damage. DauT apparently getting quite a lot of damage done on the trading eco of their opponent, but it's not an insurmountable deficit. And one thing we haven't talked about on the left side, Paladins are breaking in with siege rams supporting. This is something that is going to catch DauT's team completely off guard. A lot of Paladin siege rams as well, so DauT is gonna have to defend now, and now DauT's team is on both front lines, completely on the defensive. And now DauT coming in with a few siege rams, but there's absolutely no units that is supporting this one, so these guys would just go down immediately. And it's going to be awfully hard to hold this left side. Plus, Shed is gonna have to allocate all his plumed archers, which means that he's not gonna be able to reinforce this battlefield anymore. Trade now up for both teams, but now DauT's team is on the defensive. And as I said, Modri's team in the previous round of the tournament also made a huge comeback for the victory against Noisik's team, and it seems like at some point DauT's team had a castle up here. And now they are sort of on the defensive, a huge amount of bombard towers over here. Also, Modri's got Yasama keeps, by the way. That's something that's worth pointing out. It's Byzantine bombard towers at 3000 HP and Yasama towers from the Japanese. And their opponents don't have bombard towers, their opponents don't have amazing towers. We have onagers, though, coming in here from DauT with the Slavs. Left side, they're holding this, and as I always like to say, holes work both ways, and that's exactly what we're experiencing over here. Those boyars should be able to deal with the majority of the paladins over here and the rams, and the plumed archers could be great for pushing into the eco of their opponents. So other side, big blob of elephants coming in here once again. Paladins trying to get some damage done on the Arbs, and look at those kamikaze villagers. These are legit kamikaze villagers because well, Modri is playing Japanese over here, just sending them in and getting the towers up. And Paladin's doing an excellent job sniping the traps over here as well. Oh boy, Matt is down to 9 army. 9 army over here with the Khmer. How is that even possible? He's coming in with elephants, but those stables are, I think, a little bit too much at the back end. Matt, you need to make more units. You are floating 1000 food and 2000 gold. He's now teching into scorpions, but I feel like he can't just stop making elephants. Over here, left side, big clash over here. Plumed archers will be extremely efficient in this absolute carnage in this narrow choke point, but Modri's team is inching closer and closer to those castles, and one castle goes down from Uzi, leaving him with only two castles to produce longbows. Uzi's gonna need to add some beef as well here, like either multiple castles. Like Uzi's sitting on 4000 stone, so he should have added like 2 more castles at the back already, so he can actually keep up the production of longbows. Or if he really wants to just go for towers, then he should have added Rs, but he needs numbers here. It looks like we're going to have the double crossbow heavy scorpions for Matt to deal with this one, but there is SOs on the field, and I feel like the main thing that you're going to be missing if you go for full scorpions with Matt is meat shield. Now Elephants will try to dive in, take down the traps. One trap goes down, the second one I think may survive. Onagers! Udzi, what are you doing, man? He's the tier 2 player. Now Shed eats a huge hit on his plumes, and I think that if this game is won, it is won with freaking Andy's Onagers. Because he has been landing some enormous hits. This is the second time that an entire army gets leveled by Onagers over here. Left side, however, DauT's team slowly pushing through, I would say. Oh my goodness. This is one of the reasons why Black Forest can be very fun to look at. This is just absolute post-imp carnage. But how are you going to stop this if you're DauT's team now? That's the problem. That you're actually holding this side, you're holding this side, but are you actually able to counterattack? That's the question. And there's going to be an Onager cut here in the middle, which means that I believe that the Paladins from this side will just try running in all the way inside. DauT is going to be forced to make boyars from these castles, and that also takes quite a lot of time to reach the battlefield. Other side, Onagers once again getting some shots out. Udzi is at about 34 longbows still. That is just way too few. Just way too few, and inch by inch, Udzi's team is getting pushed back over here. Now, there is still Warwolf traps, so the Warwolf traps could actually be very useful, just melting these towers, and Britons are extremely good when it comes to defending. That's something that we always have to add, but this is all about DauT and Shed being able to push the other side. If DauT and Shed aren't able to push the other side, this game is over. So, let's see, Paladins trying to get a good surround, Boyars getting absolutely torn apart by the Halberdiers, Onagers getting some shots out, trying to deal with this one. Another Siege Onager comes in, huge shot from DauT over there, and they clean up the Halberdiers. Now Boyars, as I said, hoes work both ways, and this is going to help DauT so much. He's able to run through here, and this is not something that I think that Glocken anticipated at the beginning. They are slowly losing numbers on the left side. Right side is still holding, and in fact, a counterattack is coming in here. Remember, Warwolf traps are amazing. The other side has Kataparuto traps, so both of those traps are absolutely insane, but Warwolf should be winning over Kataparuto in the majority of the circumstances. Towers are slowly going down, because it seems like meat is running out here for Modri's team. Where is all the units at? Are they preparing a big push somewhere that we are not seeing, or what? I don't think so. I don't think so they are preparing a big push. It is more about the fact that the cavalry from Imperio had to be dispatched to help out this side, so does Glocken. So Glocken and Imperio are no longer fighting this one, and honestly, if it's 2v2 and Elephants, Longbows, and even Scorpions with Warwolf tabs, I actually like that more than the Halberdier and Onager play over here. So, oh, this is why we're not seeing that army. Paladins running into the trade. Doomed Archers will be... Oh, that's why. I was actually saying, where is the sneaky army at? Now there is a huge Halberdier blob pushing through the middle. Boyars will not be particularly amazing at dealing with that. And this pushes straight into the heart of the trade. And I feel like we're getting to a scenario where it's going to be who dies first. And I feel like this cut here is extremely dangerous to the trade of DauT's team, whereas this push is gonna need a couple more minutes until it actually starts being dangerous to the trade of the opponent. They could have actually made an argument for cutting over here and sending a few boyars in, but they didn't go for that. Now Shed is gonna have to drop a castle here, but in the meanwhile, we also have Paladins flooding through here. That being said, Halberdiers got cleaned up and those boyars could counterattack on the other side, as a lot of Paladins went down from Imperio to make this push happen. So that is something that we have to consider, that a lot of Paladins went down for that push, and that could actually backfire, because if you don't kill enough trade with it, as another blob of longbows die from Udzi, if you don't kill enough trade with it, then your opponent is going to overrun you with more numbers, DauT with an insane amount of boyars now, but he's forced to chase armies. And now there is going to be another wave coming in through the middle. Once again, I feel like the initiative is in the hands of Modri's team. So For some time, it seemed like DauT's team is going to be counterattacking this one. Stone Walls will be coming in here by Shed. The defensive castle here would be pretty helpful as well. But as you see, now it is a counterattack from Modri's side as well. Score is still awfully close in here. Another castle comes in from Udzi, but it's already getting trapped down by 5 traps. This castle is going to be lost again by Udzi. That's the second castle I believe that he's losing. And honestly, I think that's the difference. Glocken is playing out of his mind in this one. He's the tier 2 player of his team, and Udzi is the tier 2 player of DauT's team, and I feel like he's not playing as good as his team wants him to. Because there has been massive miss micros with the longbows, and those bodies once again tell you the story of some massive miss micros. It's all about keeping your longbows alive, and that is not happening over here. Udzi is getting absolutely slaughtered by the onagers, the traps, and now if the castles go down, he's gonna have no production over here. He's still sitting on 2,000 stone, but 9,000 wood is in the bank for Udzi, but he's only at 126 population. Why is he not having 3 more castles at the back to make longbows? Why is he not having ranges for more arbalasts then? If he's floating this many resources, he's obviously floating awful lot of resources. DauT's team has fought extremely well, but it feels like I think Udzi underperformed a little bit because, well, not even a little bit, and now this is desperation. This is pure desperation when you see the Khmer player going for scouts. So DauT's team actually had a castle up here, but then once again bombard towers from Glocken, and Glocken played out of his mind. Imperial played really well, and as I said, when this tournament started, I felt like Modri's team was one of the strongest teams in the game. I wasn't sure if it was the strongest team. Now from what I have seen, and from what I have seen, I feel like Modri's team is going to have their best chance of winning this tournament, to be honest. So yeah, at this point, all 4 players are playing extremely good in their respective teams. So it is not just about Modri carrying it. In fact, I feel like Modri contributed the least to this game. So it's about Glocken playing very, very good defensive gameplay, very, very good late game, Imperial with very nice cavalry control, Freaking Andy being an absolute beast from the pocket, and this team is absolutely amazing. Freaking Andy was a huge steal in the round 3 of the draft, and it looks like Team Modri is going to pretty much push his way into the grand finals over here, because it seems like even though the left side may have stabilized now, we have a push in here. Glocken is already dropping bombard towers. They're this close to the trade. If Glocken actually starts making bombard towers here, the trade is going to be directly exposed to that. But even if that doesn't happen, now you have Yasama towers coming on the other side, and the Khmer player is pretty much out of the party here. I feel like he lost most of his trade, if I'm not mistaken. There is still 51 trade for our Khmer player, but you really have to ask the question if, like, remember all those onager hits that Udzi has taken, that Shet has taken? Those onagers were never supposed to be able to killing longbows. It's 12 range over 9 range. If you don't have a bombard cannon sieve, and that's, like, I'm not even going to say anything to this, but basically you can deal with onagers 2 ways. You have a bombard cannon sieve, or you have longbows, and you pick off those onagers from a distance, and we have seen examples of that in previous series. Obviously it could be quite laggy, but this is game number 2. If this is game number 2, they played game number 1 with the same lag. If they played game number 1 with the same lag, they know that, okay, longbow micro could be problematic. If longbow micro is problematic, then you pick a bombard cannon sieve, and I'm pretty sure they have at least one bombard cannon sieve available. So yeah, sometimes archers just don't shoot any mistake. Obviously, that could be the case as well. It's more about, it wasn't just one bad scenario, it was multiple onager hits. So we're talking about, I think, at least 10 enormous onager hits. And as I said, there is some decision-making questions over here as well. Like, look at this. Now, Udzi is on 6 castles. But that was before... like, he was on 3 castles for so long, and he underinvested into that one. I think. But anyways, Modri's team is going to march into the grand finals over here. What an insane series. That, like, it was a little bit one-sided, and the reason why this is surprising is because DauT's team absolutely destroyed Rubenstock's team, which was a reasonable candidate to win the entire event as well. Modri's team is going to be in the grand finals. The tournament is winner takes it all, which means that DauT's team is getting 0 prize money over here, and they will be playing against the other semifinalist team. The other semifinals were played, but I won't mention who won because I don't want to spoil it. You can watch it on my YouTube or here on Twitch as well if you go into the VODs. That was played yesterday, and the grand finals will be scheduled after this series. So we don't know when the grand finals will be. It's probably going to be sometime next week, and I would think that it's going to be sometime next weekend potentially, even though Hidden Cup is already starting. So it may be sometime in the weekdays. It's going to be announced on AoE Zone, I'm pretty sure. It's going to be... I will definitely cast that because I feel like there is something special in Black Forest, and that is the fact that it is so entertaining with all these post-imp scenarios, huge onager hits, very, very grindy games, long games. Udzi, at the end of the day, he killed an awful lot, but I feel like this stat is misleading because it was just Habdirs getting torn apart completely. 57 buildings raised by Glocken. Insane. Eco-wise, let's see what we had over here. Trade profits. Modri had 34k trade profit. Udzi only 18k trade profit. 24 for DauT. Modri had an insane trade income. That's basically the most of it. Villager count met at something 170 villagers, but I feel like when you look at it, you have to look at points like this. Look at this. Suddenly, the army of Udzi drops to its half. Same thing here for Shed. Just a couple of moments, and those onager hits came in absolutely clutch. I want to check out how many units freaking Andy killed. He ends up only killing 669, but many of those kills came from enormous onager shots that gave him an upper hand temporarily, which allowed them to push a little bit more forward. And that secures the win for Modri's team. Team Modri beating Team DauT 2-0. Congratulations for Modri's team. As I said, I feel like this team is very, very well drafted, especially freaking Andy in the 3rd round is a huge steal, but it seems like Imperio in the 4th round was also a major, major steal of this one. With that, this was the end of the semifinals. The prize pool distribution is pretty simple. $3,150, the current prize pool, all goes to the winning team. So 2nd place gets nothing, 3rd place gets nothing, 4th place gets nothing, absolutely nothing. This is a winner takes it all tournament, which means that whoever wins the grand finals takes the entire prize money, which is a little over $3,000 right now. And obviously, I will be casting the grand finals as well.